Hello, my name is Mike Fink, and you're watching a video that I made with my drone, a DJI Mini 4 Pro at Chrisman Airfield in Fort Collins, Colorado, January 22nd of 2025. Wanted to capture what it looks like when a vehicle drives on a fairly flat snowpack surface, and then the driver gets out of the vehicle and walks away through the snow. In this case, it's a pristine environment. No one has walked on this field prior to my going out and walking. So I left the driver's side of the vehicle and walked here in this direction, out and away from the vehicle towards the front and around the front. And you can see the tracks show up fairly well, which is what we had suspected. What we want to do is contrast this with what this would look like in the summertime in the dry field, with no snow to basically make a record of someone passing through and leaving footprints. The drone can pick it up fairly easily. I mean, people can follow this fairly easily, but if we're talking about large distances, or possibly having to rule out certain things, well, this would be a good way to look at the evidence, and maybe you could make some judgments based on what you're seeing. I was flying at an altitude of about 30 feet. It was a sunny day, 10 to 11 in the morning. And right now the drone is facing kind of west-southwest. The sun will be behind me here shortly, and you can, at least I think, see the tracks best with the sun behind the drone and shadowing the footprints. It's January, so the sun angle is pretty low. There's some decent amount of. So I'm continuing the audio here. It stopped for some reason, and anyway, the snow is crusty. It's about 4 days old. It snowed on, well, actually, let's see, it snowed on Saturday, previous Saturday, and this is a Thursday. So 5 days. And the wind blew fairly aggressively. So this is all wind deposited, crusty kind of snow, or snow that's been scoured off by the wind. And so when you'd step down, you would kind of like break through the snow, the top layer and down into the lower layer. I'm circling around just to see if the tracks stand out any better from a particular direction. Now I'm almost looking into the direction that the sun is coming from, and the tracks are not as easy to pick up. You can see there where I crossed the vehicle tracks. I wanted to go around behind the vehicle and then again just make a big circle around the vehicle and come back to the vehicle, just for a perspective, something to look at with the drone. Here I'm flying a little bit lower, see if that makes any difference, and it really doesn't. Again, because I think this is not the angle you want to be looking at with respect to the sun. As far as looking at the ground, the camera was there, it's straight down, but In the earlier shots, I was at maybe a 45-degree angle, so not looking straight down, but kind of looking down and away in the direction of travel, which I think 45 degrees is a common angle where you would want to search. Gives you a good field of view. You can kind of see stuff in the background, what's going on around you. If you look straight down, it's more restricted. I'll say that's probably not the right word, but you're confining yourself to the area right below the drone, and the angle being 90 degrees, it doesn't show up footprints in this case as much as you might think. I mean, the tendency might be to have the camera straight down and fly over the top of the footprints and watch them that way, but there the camera angle is more at a 45-degree angle, not 90 degrees, not straight out, because we can't see any of the horizon, the skyline. I've lost the tracks here, so I'm trying to pick them up again. Again, I think this is looking in the direction that the sun is coming from, and more straight down than out. The audio is continuing to record this time. I don't know why it stopped early the last time. Maybe I accidentally stopped it by doing something, clicking a button. I don't know. Anyway, so here we are back with the sun behind us. Um, you can see and now I'm going up a little higher. There you can see the drone shadow on the left, about middle of the screen. That's interesting. I didn't notice that before. And now I'm getting up pretty high, and you can, yeah, since you know where the track went, you can kind of see it, except for when it goes through the area where it's more bare, not as much snow. You can see more of the shrub and grass stuff, and the footprints blend in pretty good with that stuff, so it makes it more difficult to pick up. Here you can see the vehicle track I made, also another vehicle track that, yeah, I'm gonna guess was made after the snow. Should have followed that for a little bit and saw where that went, but I didn't because I was focusing on the tracks that I made today. There's actually two tracks there now, and that might just be tracks that were there, worn tracks from a long time, and the snow just kind of fell into there. And yeah, now that I look at it, my tracks are kind of look like snow has been removed from where I drove, and the other tracks look like snow fell into those tracks and kind of highlighted them, sort of like it highlights the field striping that was probably made by farm equipment when they cut the grass out here. Straight overhead with the sun now kind of off up in the upper right hand corner. The tracks, you can see the lower tracks now, but the upper tracks are gone. I'm not looking. Oh, there they are. I'm not looking. They're becoming more visible now as I'm going back and putting the sun behind me. This altitude, yeah, makes stuff a lot smaller. Therefore, it's more difficult to pick it up. And now I'm coming back down. Just trying to play with distance, height, elevation, camera angles. give an idea of what those changes might look like. Maybe since it was a bright day, I could have put some filtering on the camera lens. I have filters I can put on, and a lot of times that, I don't know, makes things stand out better, especially when it's snowy and bright. But I'm not really seeing much difficulty in picking up most of the tracks here, so that would be interesting to try a filter and see if that helps or hampers the ability to see things with the camera. Temperature wise, it was probably in the 20s here. So I'm flying from inside the vehicle. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not illegal. You don't have as good of a line of sight to the drone, keeping it in sight while you're flying, which is a requirement. And also the vehicle body, the metal parts of the vehicle will block the radio signal going from the controller to the drone and the video. If you're far away, here I'm, hardly, 100 feet, 100, yeah, 20 yards and up high, so no, there was virtually no signal loss under these circumstances. Interesting thing that Doug mentioned was that the prints, rather than appearing like depressions, they look like they're coming out at you rather than being depressions in the ground, which is an illusion created by the light, the angle of the sun. Trying to see if I can do anything to bring the prints out better in the more scoured areas where there's less snow and more of the grass showing. And maybe flying lower, like getting 10 feet off the ground and zooming in really close, I could probably go from track to track, but doing it this way, can't really see every footprint, but the nice thing about it is you can see where the tracks went into that area, and then you can see here where they came out. So not really necessary to find each individual footprint in this case. And you can see the whole thing from up in the air. So yeah, this scenario, this what the person did, where they drove onto the field, that they got out, walked around the vehicle, and got back to the vehicle. That you can almost see that in the first 2 minutes of watching the video. So interesting. I just noticed there's a volume for the microphone, I think. I turned it up. Yeah, that's better. That might cause more noise, but let me bring it down a little bit. Okay. Here I'm just finally wake up giving a 360-degree view of the search area to give viewers a more definitive idea of the exact location of where this is on Chrisman. I should have circled all the way around to give that sort of perspective, so you could see which way the vehicle was oriented with relationship to the hangars and the cell tower and the weather stations and the runway, and all the other things that are out here in this environment at Crispin Airfield. I think what I'm looking at here is how I lose the footprints that are in the shadowing that the vehicle is throwing on the footprints that are at the vehicle. I did, as a secondary thing, get out of the vehicle and walk around back and over to the passenger side, open that door, and I think I got a fresh battery out of my drone case. And so if you get closer, and probably if I would have opened up the aperture a little bit on the camera, adjusted the exposure settings, I could have lightened up that shadowed area and maybe seen a little more detail to see if you could see anything like additionally that I might have been doing there. But in fact, I just got out of the vehicle, shut the door, walked around the back over to the passenger side, opened that door, got something out, closed the door, and then walked back to the driver's side. And I got back in and launched the drone. There, I'm getting in a little bit closer for a better view. It's lightening up that shadowed area, so you can pick up stuff there. Again, the snow crunched down, and it didn't really just make a nice little footprint where I stepped, but it kind of crunched up 2 or 3 footprint wide sections of the snow, the crusted snow. I'd have to say here that the camera's pointing straight down again, so this is the kind of stuff you'll see when you do something like that. The vehicle stands out, but the footprints, and I was zoomed in, and I believe I flew up to 400 feet above the ground for this shot. And on the right, you can see Doug's coming in with his van. And I think maybe I noticed that, and so I'm trying to get into a position where I can maybe watch what he's going to do, what he's doing, or I'm just spinning around. Excuse me. Yeah, just spinning around. Getting ready to land. I'm pretty much done with what I wanted to do. I maybe had 40% battery left, and I decided to bring the drone home. Using the bed of the pickup for landing pad worked out really well. It's big enough that it's not a big deal to land there. The drone had a little bit of difficulty. The vision sensor on the bottom of the drone, it looks for weird things when you're trying to land and keeps you from landing unless you confirm that you really do want to land there. I'm not sure that was going on here when I did eventually try to land, but just basically trying to center up the drone over the back and carefully and slowly bringing it down. I want to maybe attach a landing pad to that bed area or put some Velcro on it so that I can set something on it for a better definition of a landing zone and something that won't blow away. when it's windy.